Boker Tov, everyone. Rabbi Eric Solomon, Raleigh, North Carolina. A little morning Torah. So the parsha is Bahalotecha. We're in a book of Numbers, the fourth book of the Torah. And there's a lot that happens in Bahalotecha. But one thing I want to focus on, which is mentioned here, also mentioned earlier in the Torah in the book of Exodus, is about the manna, the man. Now we're wandering in the desert, our people, Bnei Israel. And how were we fed? You know the story, many of you, I'm sure, is that manna came down, this kind of bread-like, plant-like, according to the Midrash, it tastes like about whatever we wanted it to taste like, which thing really struck me as a kid. I loved it. And we ate it. And according to the Torah, the way it was distributed was manna came down every day from the heavens, so to speak. And we had to collect it every day, eat it. And then on the day before Shabbat, right before Shabbat, like today, you collected double portion. And because we weren't allowed to do the work of collecting on Shabbat, Tov. But one of the questions the Midrash asked in a famous Midrash, which I love, says, you know, why did God give manna every day? Couldn't God give manna for like a week or a month, you know, kind of put it on credit with us? We could just collect it up and not to have to, you know, go every single day. Also, that would solve the Shabbat issue, right? If you had a collection, you have to, you know, worry about it, the double collection on right before Shabbat. So what's going on there? And I'll just cut to the chase of the Midrash, which I love. It basically gives a metaphor to a parent that basically the reason why, you know, a parent likes to or give daily is because it requires the children of Israel to come every day to collect the gift, so to speak, and to be grateful for it. And in a sense, to phone home, be in contact. Like God's in a sense worried that if God gives it for a long period of time, the manna, then we're going to kind of not come to visit. And every time we come and collect the manna, it's a moment for visiting and being with God. Now, it's a cute answer. You know, it's again, I get like, there's a parent metaphor, like, you know, phone home, you know, call your parents or text your parents, whatever, today's version. Very cute. Obviously, it's a human-based midrash, so you could see maybe the rabbis were parents worried about their kids. Okay, it's possible. But on a more deeper, profound level, this is a mystical, Kabbalistic view that mainstream will call normative view about what God's about, you know, what God experiences. You know, there's one kind of view of God that's really defined the most by Maimonides, which he uses a phrase called negative theology, which means that you really can't speak anything about God. God has no needs. God is completely separate from the universe. God is separate from human beings. God is so distant from us that we can never describe God accurately or at all even. We can only describe what God is not. That's called negative theology. God is not this phone. God is not this. This is considered like the most separate. But the mystic view that God is so intensely connected with the world and with humanity that in fact we can describe God in a myriad of ways and feel deeply connected to God in that way. So what I want to, you know, add to this, right, is that therefore it implies that God actually needs us. God wants human beings. God wants to be in a relationship. And my favorite drash about that comes back to the creation of the world. Jenny and I have given this at numerous wedding teachings, is that, you know, why did God even create the world at all? You know, if God creates the world and relatively quickly there's mistakes. Adam and Eve mess up. You know, there's lots of problems. Noah. Okay, so here's an argument that says, why is God even create the world? Because there's so many problems. Well, that I love the most, that we love, is that because God created the world because God was lonely. There are all kinds of things God could do on God's own. The only thing God couldn't do on God's own was have a partner to show love and to experience love. That God could have had, you know, a kind of relatively nice existence on God's own, but that's not ultimately a life well lived even for God. God wants to feel love and experience love. So God, in a sense, actually couldn't experience everything in this world without another person. Why is that a wedding drash? Because we're saying the idea of finding your beloved, the idea is that you're saying, my life is incomplete without this person, and I want to have a place to deposit that love. But by the way, it doesn't have to be a spouse, but that's one example, of course. It could be deep friendship and other relationships one has. Tough. So come back to say, is both these rooted on the idea that not only do we need God, right, but God needs us. So come back to the manna. Beautiful teachings. So God gives the manna daily because God wants to see us. God wants to be felt by us. God wants to interact with us God on some level is lonely all by God's self. And we can relate to that, obviously during COVID, but in general. A lot of Western American life can feel lonely. Sometimes the American narrative is independence. Independence Day is coming. Be on your own bootstraps. There's a strength to that. But at the same time, we need each other. To experience love, to share love, to be loved, is to be seen. God wants it with the delivery of the manna. We want it in our lives. It's one of the most holiest gifts there is. So this Shabbat, come together in shul, you hear the parsha, you hear about manna, you see it comes every day. See it is not only an opportunity to phone home, but an opportunity to remind ourselves that everybody wants to be paid attention to. Everyone deserves to be paid attention to. Everyone wants to be loved. Everyone deserves to be loved. No one wants to be lonely. And that includes God. And that's why God gave the manna every day. Shabbat Shalom.